Hello, I'm your instructor Kazushige Yusa. I work as a 2D and 3D animator and director for TV anime and video games. I also work intently with animation instructional institutions in Japan and abroad to establish an inroad for the next generation of animators to thrive. I'd like to start out by explaining the first workshop, an in-betweening course which is fundamental to animation. First, what do we mean by the allure of animation? For example, there's a type of expression available through animating we cannot fully express through comics or live-action drama. Movement that is sometimes dynamic, sometimes comical. Perhaps this is that allure which draws us deeper into the realm of the imagination. Wouldn't it be wonderful if an original character you designed could move? If they could act however you imagined? You would want to show that work to friends, family, and an even wider audience. These days, making animation at home on your computer is easy, and sharing through platforms like YouTube became possible. Compared to the era when film was necessary for production, there are more self-styled animation creators. This is the benefit of digitization. However, among these works, there sometimes are themes and messages that never get fully realized. More than a few works become little more than imitations of cutesy shoujo and cool hero action tropes due to a lack of proper training in fundamental skills. Among these, some works beg the question, is animation even the right medium of expression? These works may be better suited for manga or illustration or read-along children's stories. It is very important to have context as to why animation techniques are the desired mode of expression. Now, everybody, remember your favorite anime from childhood. Then, imagine how the creators felt. I'm sure the vivid expressions and performance of those characters left a deep impression on you. To make animation, one has to examine movement, which is the study of the fundamentals of acting, while simultaneously learning the importance of the effects of camera work and direction. Therein lies the value of creating a work in animation. In this workshop, you will experience the joy of making your drawings move, the process of in-betweening. The fundamentals you learn will serve you well into your future as a pro animator. The text you see on the screen that reads "in between" is where this process occurs. Keyframing is a more advanced job, so everyone begins their journey by learning in-betweening. The work of filling in consecutive drawings between keyframes which you are provided. After being hired at most professional animation studios, new animators work for at least 3 years on in-betweens to polish their skills. After this, if they pass a keyframing exam, they are finally allowed to make their debut as a keyframer. That being said, while some of you may aim to become professional animators, of course there are some whose interest in animation is purely cultural or academic. We extend a warm welcome to all, even if your interest in trying to animate is only casual. By trying the assignments we prepared for this course, you will be able to experience the depth and charm of animating. I'm sure it will change the way you view animation. This workshop is the result of my experiences and knowledge I gained from raising a younger generation of animators and instructing students as a college professor. It is also informed by the various teaching materials I've utilized along the way. I approach this as an instructor confident in the craft. One of the most textbook methods for learning to animate is to complete in-betweening practice assignments. For example, a bounding ball, a turning face, waving a hand, walking, and running are all standard entry-level assignments. We will start from a step before that, the most important step, polishing our power of observation and learning about expressive abilities. One of the most appealing points about this workshop is that anyone can start on equal footing. All right, let's do our best. Jumping right in, let's take a look at this section about observational skills. It shows the effects of persistence of vision in animation, which is also known as apparent movement. This introduces several patterns of in-betweens of a ball traveling left to right from a keyframe at point A to a keyframe at point B. To start, this is uniform velocity. It starts at point A, stops at point B, then returns from point B to point A. It stops abruptly, doesn't it? Now let's look at one with acceleration and deceleration added. As it begins to move, it accelerates, and it decelerates as it stops, right? More natural, isn't it? This means there is air resistance. Okay, please look at another one. What do you think? There is no change to point A or point B from the previous example. However, the way the space between is filled gives it movement that makes it seem almost alive, doesn't it? Even though they traveled the same path, the impression it gave was completely different. Each type of movement conveyed a different meaning. As we've seen, supplementing the space between transitioning images using multiple images is called in-betweening, and depending on how that space is divided, the impression can change dramatically. Knowing this, it becomes clear it is very important to understand the rules of physics like gravity and air resistance before moving characters and objects. Conveying emotions becomes an additional factor for human and animal movement. The role of in-betweener is an important one where one must consider trajectory, speed, and acting performance while animating. Okay, now I'd like to show you some examples of the in-betweening process using some materials from an assignment in the curriculum. This is from the looping chapter. Animation utilizes a great many repeating motion cycles known as repeats or loops. For example, we have a flag fluttering in the wind, grass swaying, waves wavering, and even a bird flapping its wings. So let's try our hand at the movement of a caterpillar from the looping assignment section. This is the keyframe of the caterpillar. This is a repeat, a looping animation that squashes and stretches. Even with only 2 pages, it conveys some movement, but if we add more drawings, we can make it even smoother. In betweening, we divide down the middle. I've been using that word in betweening a lot. We choose a point that seems about right and we divide it there. It's fine to be approximate. Can you see the red pencil? I'll be sure to darken the lines in a bit. We visually try to divide just by sight while we're doing this. This isn't really as easy as it seems though, if I'm being honest. Okay, how's this? Let's take a look. Can you see it all right? A lot smoother, isn't it? In order to raise the level of detail, we're going to overlay just the face and trace that. It's a chance to show off your skills. This allows for very precise in-betweens. Okay, so can you see the red pencil, right? No problems? Good. And you probably noticed by doing this, we can avoid going off model. Alright, so since there is a pattern, let's just fill it in here and here. Okay, now we're going to check the movement. Nice, so that fills the in-between. But if we think that we're finished, think again. For the squash part of the cycle, this is good. But what about the stretch? Now we have to add an in-between for the stretch that comes after the scrunch. Caterpillars are sometimes called inchworms. They raise their heads as they move forward. Here. So we'll choose a place that looks just about the right place for the in-between. Let's see, like this, kind of like this. From here, we are going to increase the level of detail just like we did before. We're going to get the face as close to model as we can using a tap split again. Now we're just going to trace to work on the face. When we do this, the size doesn't change and neither does the expression. So then I'm going to move the antenna a little bit from front to back. We use the red pencil at this point. Afterwards, we will use these 4 frames and unify the line work in the cleanup stage. Alright, let's take a look. Here we go. I'm going to do a finger flip. What do you think? Does it look like it's moving? I think the drag on the antenna really works too. This has been an example of dividing the space between key pose drawings called in-betweening. And here is a finished cut consisting of 8 pages, a 4-page addition to the 4 pages we have now. Take a look. How did it turn out? We were able to breathe life into our caterpillar drawing. In this workshop and in-betweening course, we have prepared a lot of very unique assignments. Taking on each of these exercises, mastering each step by step through a build-up approach, you will learn the fundamentals of animation. Gradually, you will gain a greater ability to sketch and express yourself. Since we will also talk about perspective, your drawing skills will naturally improve too. These exercises have been proven to be of immense help to people like illustrators, manga authors, and people aspiring to join the video game industry, not just animators. In this workshop, we plan on also touching on the perspective of the animator as an actor. In the later lessons, we will also examine modes of expression for action and depicting daily life dramatics. These drawing methods are part of the advanced work of keyframing. There are a lot of different animation methods. Regardless of if you are doing hand-drawn animation, 3D CG animation, or claymation, these fundamentals of movement are exactly the same. They'll also apply to animals, mecha, natural phenomena like splashing water and blazing fire. It even applies to animation that utilizes methods of deformation like exaggeration and abbreviation to bring characters like Mickey Mouse to life. I am certain that this workshop will be a source of new discoveries for you. I hope this helped you to understand how important it is to polish our power of observation and learn about expressive abilities when learning to animate. Alright everybody, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the next lesson.